Well, Mr. Gyökeres, we have some breaking news for you on our Sunday social. Apparently Arsenal, get on this, Arsenal have frozen their pursuit of Viktor Gyökeres. They've had enough and they feel Sporting's £67 million demands are too high. This come out from Record Portugal, who people might say it's an aggregator or not that reliable, but it is quite a strong source in Portugal. And also, I think they was the first ones initially to report that Arsenal had contacted, Gyökeres had given Arsenal basically like priority. So if they was the first ones to break that, and now they're the first ones to break this, it's kind of like, well, is it true or is it not? But anyway, you won't see the topics on the screen just yet because I haven't put them on, of course. But this is what we're going to go through today. You can already see them on TikTok. Welcome, by the way, on TikTok. I haven't done a live in a hot minute. But Arsenal freeze pursuit of Gyökeres. That's going to be the biggest story that I'll definitely discuss. We've got Rasmus Hojlund to Inter. Apparently that's accelerating according to reports in Italy. Semenyo or Eze is plan B and plan C if we do not get, what's his name, Mbuemo. And I want to talk about the Club World Cup as well. Utter nonsense. I watched that first game last night. I don't know if anyone else watched it. Inter Miami versus Al. Apologies, I can't remember the team name. That's so bad. But it was like the African champions, I think. Or I think it was an Egyptian team. Honestly, shocking. How that tournament's being branded the way it is, and tickets and all that kind of stuff. But I'll get into that towards the end. The main story is the obvious one with Gyökeres. And I'm sorry, in my personal opinion, people might have a different take. They might go, oh, I've not even fucking took the thing off the screen. Jesus Christ. You could tell I haven't done a solo show in a long time. I've just left the topics on the screen and then not even switched it. Sorry about that. What was I getting into now? It's going to take a bit, 5-10 minutes just to get back used to things. Honestly, we've done so many group shows now for a long time. I actually can't remember the last live solo I did on TikTok or even on YouTube. But anyway, get the bearings. So, we remember an interview, right, that Ruben Amorim had done. I think he had said this in post-match press conferences. He said it in, kind of previous things before, where he only wants players to join Manchester United if they want to join United, right? So, I think he actually got asked about Gyökeres and the fact of it was being reported at the time that he only wanted Champions League football. And his actual reply to that was, well, we want players who want to join United, who have that initial spark. You look at someone like Matheus Cunha, who we just signed, straight off the bat, bang, there you go. Do you know what I'm saying? So they have to have that attitude, and they have to have that hunger to join a club. If Gyökeres is what's being reported, which is pretty solid, coming out from Romano or wherever it's coming from, if he's turning around and going, nope, I've given Arsenal priority, they were the first kind of stinging lines that's come out. It's like, oh, okay. Right, all right. So basically, you're saying towards, it's like, you fancy a girl or whatever, and she goes, I still like you as a friend, but I think I'm going to go out with Peter or whatever, which is weird because it's my dad's name, but I'm going to go out with Sebastian, which no one ever goes out with Sebastian, do they? Let's be honest. But that's what it feels like at the minute. So for then this news to come out, that he's then said, or Arsenal said, well, actually, it's too much, 67 million quid, we ain't paying that. We'll go back in talks with Sesko. We'll see if we can negotiate a price there or whatever. Because he seems to be moaning about the price either way. So if that is the case, and then he comes crawling back with his agency United saying, oh, look, we might actually be open to doing a deal. Victor sat on it and thought about it a little bit. And actually, he fancies United now. You go, fuck off. I'm sorry, but I like him as a player. I think he's really, really good. But if he has already put it out there and already stated that he wants to join Arsenal, you cannot then take him as a player. Because one, you're going against your own ethos as a manager, that you only want clubs who play for United, and going back on your word. So that's a starter. And the second thing, it wasn't his priority. He wants to play for Arsenal. He wants to play in the Champions League football. Cool. You go do that. Because what's going to happen now is if Arsenal don't do the deal for him, where is he going to go in the Premier League? Do you know what I mean? Where's he going to go in the Prem? Nowhere. You've got Man City. You've got Haaland, right? Liverpool I've never seen links or solid links with Gyökeres and Liverpool. Correct me if I'm wrong. There might be some Liverpool fans in TikTok. Apologies if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen any personal links with him. I've seen links with Ekatike, who we'll speak about in a moment, who we went live with last night. I didn't go live with him, but we spoke about him last night live. I've seen those kind of links, but I haven't seen it between Liverpool. So I would believe that they're not in for that player, or they think maybe, he doesn't suit the system, or whatever it is. Okay? So that's fine. Plus, they just spent 100 and fucking whatever it is on Florian Wirtz. So maybe they're not looking at that kind of deal. Maybe they're looking at a more younger striker. I don't know their situation. But then you start going down the table. You're like, right, Man City, you've got Haaland, so he's definitely not going to go there. Newcastle have Isaac, so he's definitely not going to go there. Chelsea just signed Delap. They've got Delap and Jackson. He won't go there. You can't start going through clubs and you get to a point where it's like, well, he actually might not get his quote-unquote desired move to the Premier League, right? And now he's kicked up a fuss at Sporting. He's fell out with the president. He's fell out with the board. There's a whole drama situation going on. Maybe there's something with the fans. I'm not entirely sure. Now he's got himself in a rut. So as a person looking at that from outside looking in, obviously you don't know some of the finer details. I'm like, well, you can dig yourself out of that rut. United don't get him out of it. There will be some people who say, I don't care what he said. I don't care what he's done. I don't care what the situation is. Bring him in. He's going to score, well, he scored 60-plus goals or whatever it is for Sporting CP. I want a player who was just a killer. I don't care about previous things. For me, I am not like that at all. But I would love to get everyone's thoughts. So get your comments in on TikTok and YouTube. And let's see what everyone is thinking. We've got 45 people in the chat on YouTube. Please do smash the like of the video. Subscribe to the channel. We are on 16,760 subscribers. So we're pushing close to 20k. If there is anyone on TikTok who doesn't follow us on YouTube, we have a load of lads on the channel. We've had some fantastic guests from Carl Anker, Jay Morty, Laurie Whitwell, Kieran Maguire. The whole shebang, the top of the top when it comes to guests. We've had them on this channel, so please do subscribe and check us out. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It is what it is, isn't it? Charlie's saying Gyökeres' agent is the most stupid in the business. What way to yonk the club that really wanted him out of the race? Gyökeres can play for whoever he wants as long as it's not United. Exactly. Sam United saying I could see him end up at PSG. Someone's asking, am I on Twitch, bro? I'm not on Twitch, no, but it's something that I could, potentially consider, depending on the reach and because I know loads of people do kind of URL streams over on there. But just YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, the usual kind of socials. Do you know what? I haven't done a live so long on TikTok. I miss it, man. I miss it. If Gyökeres doesn't want to come, so be it. Sid the Whistle saying, good afternoon to you, sir. Mark Palmer saying, if Gyökeres doesn't want United, then United shouldn't go near him. Random also saying, I just want to clear things up just in case there's any type of mix-up. Gyökeres preferring Arsenal was made apparent ever since the beginning of the window. He's still open to United. Yeah, well, we know Romano briefed that last night, didn't he? He was saying he's not completely closed the door off to United. But are you telling me, in any situation in life, if you're going for a promotion, let's say, for example, at whatever job you work at, right? Random guy in your case, it might be something medical or something along that lines. And they look at another person there and they go, do you know what, actually, we think, why can't I think of male? Charlie's a better fit for the job, so we're going to go with him. And then you're like, right, okay, but, you're kind of down about you really wanted this promotion. You go into the next room, you get your Kleenex out, you wipe your nose, you dust yourself off, you go, oh, right, okay, never again, maybe next time. And then they come back to you and go, oh, actually, Charlie didn't quite agree to the contract situation. He's not up for that promotion. Now another club has approached him. Do you still want it? Now, some people might turn around and go, yeah, I mean, it's money, innit? At the end of the day, it's a promotion. I'll take it. But there's still that pride thing there where you're like, do you know what I mean? For me, it's just like, no, I don't want it. Go get another striker. I'm quite stubborn like that. I'll just, go get another one. Because he's made his bed now, so fucking sleep in it. That's what I say. Mokomuju Jane says United should have moved away from Gyökeres. You should sign Jonathan David for a 3, then other options will come. I've never rated Jonathan David in my life as a really good agent, but I've never personally rated him. So, not for me, Jonathan David. Harvey, would you take Visser? I don't think Brentford fans would like us very much, would they? Taking Mbuemo and Visser. I don't know with Visser. It's hard to say no because he's had as good of a season as what Mbuemo's had, right? But there's something about it where I'm just like, Visser to United. I don't know. I don't want to overlook him because he is a good player. He scored fucking double the amount of what both of our strikers combined have scored. Was it 19 goals he's just got in the Prem? Him and Mbuemo obviously played together in a similar system, so it could work. But then I just feel like Brentford are not going to let you buy Mbuemo and then go and get Visser. And he's older than Mbuemo as well, isn't he? So yeah, I don't know. I just don't see that move happening. But I do like him as a player, to be fair. There doesn't seem to be any top tier journalists ever reporting that he wanted United. Yeah, well. let me just give you an education lesson on Portuguese media. For anyone who's new to the game, quote-unquote, when it comes to transfers, if it's one of your first couple of windows that you're getting excited about players and stuff, Portuguese media, they will blow up anything. Like, if someone's got, I don't know, a bit of chalk on the boot, they will just make it seem like the biggest thing ever. They really jump on it. Italian media can be like it as well. So always be careful what you read. The reason why I'm going with this story, and I believe it, is because I believe Record Portugal were the ones who first initially put that he's given Arsenal priority, and then Romano jumps on the back of that. I'm pretty sure that was the way it worked out. So that's why I'm kind of giving it a bit more credit at the minute. And it's not as if it's like someone sat in a room in Wales like we had with that Qatar situation. It's you know, a decent publication, I believe, from what I read. So, yeah. If Gyökeres is main priority to Arsenal and we're first choice, no thanks, we need more Cunhas. Spot on. Do you think Mbuemo still coming to Man United? I hope so. With Mbuemo, I think his absolute number one priority, you know, he isn't a Viktor Gyökeres. He wants Man United. That is the top standard. So he will agree personal terms. He will move to United. United just need to agree a fee. That's the tricky part because we've already put in a bid of 45 plus 10. Which was a starter bid. And what's being quoted is that we need to get around the £60 million mark. So if we get to that, then we'll get it done. It's just how they get to that. And if they're willing to go over with add-ons or, you know, whatever the situation is there. So that's my thoughts on the Gyökeres situation anyway. People might feel different, but yeah, it may just be a negotiating tactic from Arsenal as well. That's something else to consider. They might put that out through the media just to see that, oh, well, you know, Gyökeres will start kicking up a bit more of a force. Maybe Sporting will drop their demands. Because you've got a whole dramatic situation ongoing over there between, like, Gyökeres needs to leave that club now. It's got to a point where he's arguing with the president, he's arguing with the board, they give him a gentleman's agreement, then they're changing the goalpost as they're moving along. Like, he needs to leave there, so he'll be more desperate than ever to move to the Prem or to a league of a similar calibre. So it could be Arsenal saying, actually, we think we can get him for less here. If we make a bit of a stance, we could probably get him for 55, 60 if he's given us priority. But then with Arsenal as well, again, don't know if there's any Arsenal fans in the chat, especially in TikTok. It seemed like their priority was, what's his name? Fucking hell, Sesko. It seemed like their priority is Benjamin Sesko. But then if you look at the prices that are coming out from Leipzig, I'm pretty sure they're talking, 70, 80 million? For a player who's, you know, obviously got more years in the tank than Gyökeres. I think he's only 21, 22. Seems like he's going to be the next kind of standard, really good player. But then that's a risk in itself. Like Arsenal, very similar to us, I would say. Obviously not in league position and stuff before you come at me. But Arsenal need a proven clinical striker. They need a number 9 up top who's going to deliver like that. And Sesko, it could be a bit of a transitional period. Gyökeres is more polished. He's played a lot more in the Champions League. Obviously, he got 60-odd goal involvements, whatever it was. Completely ridiculous. You would think that Gyökeres would fit the mould more, especially given the fact that he seems cheaper. Like, even if they're saying 65 million for Gyökeres, that still seems less for Sesko, and Sesko seems more of a risk. But then maybe tactics come into it in terms of, does Gyökeres actually fit what Arsenal need? I spoke about this yesterday. I said to Sam, I think what Arsenal need at the minute is someone who's a bit of a poacher, an instinctive killer in the box, right? So someone like a Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think that would be perfect for him because so many times I watch him, Saka's getting to the byline, he's squaring it, and no one's there. And if you look at Gyökeres as well, he does tend to drift. He likes running at players. He likes a lot of space. He doesn't strike me as that instinctive, reactionary. He can score goals like that, but that's not his main. From what I've seen anyway at Sporting, people might correct me. So maybe it's a tactical reason why they would lean more towards Sesko. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have my B licenses. One can only speculate. If Liverpool and City getting stronger players, and I see Arsenal finishing third, I agree, unless they get a number 9. If they get a solid number 9, I think they could do the league, genuinely. I really, really do. And I think they can go far in the Champions League as well. Someone's asking about Samu from Porto. Samu from Porto, I think, has got around an £80 million release clause. So, anywhere you go, let me make this clear, anywhere you go at the moment for a striker, you're paying around 70 to £80 million. Straight up. Ekatike being quoted for €100 million, £80 million. He's had one season with 22 goals in all comps, I think. And then the 2 seasons before that, why can't I put my third finger up? The 2 seasons before that, it was like 4 goals and 4 assists. So he's had one really good season in the Bundesliga. And we've made that mistake before. Like Jadon Sancho, I know he had a couple more good seasons and he was touted a top talent. And I'm not saying he'll work out like that, but that's a big risk, right? You go for Gyökeres, 65, 70 million pound. Sesko, around 70 million pound. Any striker's going to cost you that. So it all depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at someone to work with and make the star, which absolutely flopped with us when we had Rasmus Hojlund, then you'd go more down the Eberechi or Sesko route. But if you want someone who's going to be a killer right now, come in, has got the experience, and has played in England before, because obviously he played for Coventry, Gyökeres would be more the shout for me personally. But the lines have been drawn from him. For me, done, removed out of my mind, completely gone. Don't want anything to do with Gyökeres now. Don't care if he comes. Maybe I'll forgive him if he comes to United and scores 30 plus goals in the Premier League. Then we'll have a conversation. But right now, nah, not for me. Right, back to the comment section, and then I will move on to the Rasmus Hojlund news to Inter Milan. If you are just joining live, let us know your thoughts on Viktor Gyökeres, a Hojlund situation. I'll talk about Semenyo and Eze in a moment as well. This is Sunday Social, so please do subscribe and smash a like on the video. Harvey saying, I just think Mbuemo will join Spurs now. I disagree. King Power saying, which other strikers do you prefer to move to United? There's not... Osimhen would be my number one. Even before anything got mentioned about Gyökeres, Osimhen has always been number one. If you can get Osimhen for the same price as Gyökeres and same wages, I wouldn't even have to think about it. Osimhen, all day. Because he's a killer in the box. He's got an absolute leap on him. Aerial, he's good at heading the ball. He's a powerhouse. He's rapid. He's a transitional player. And he scores goals everywhere he's been. So Osimhen for me the issue with Osimhen is he's demanding around £350,000 a week, and he's had injury scares before as well. So yeah, there's a risk with every single striker involved for me. Watkins, Mateta, or Osimhen should be next. With Watkins, he's nearly 30 now. It's probably going to cost. I mean, Arsenal rejected the 60 mil bid. Villa rejected the 60 mil bid, right? I think it was in January for Watkins. So they probably want 80, 90 million again. And then his wages, what big wages is he going to want? Not for me, Watkins. Mateta never scored more than 14 goals in a single season. Will probably do a job for a couple of years. But are we not past getting players in who are just going to do a job? And also, the way Mateta plays, he's more of a focal point, a target man that you would play into. I feel like it might get a bit congested in the middle with Cunha and Mbuemo and Bruno pushing forward. I think you might have a similar situation what you had with Ronaldo and Bruno, if you remember that, where they kept getting in each other's ways. And just a theory. Cornish Mad saying he's a young Isaac with better ball control. Ekatike is alluding to, but very expensive, man. Very, very expensive. Once Arsenal move on either Sesko or Victor, the entire transfer window will start moving again. Talianino says if Victor prefers Arsenal over us, move on. Go for Osimhen instead. We need players that want to play for United. Completely agree as well. Sam saying I don't care. Bring me any Victor to United. Victor Boniface. There's another Victor for you if you want one. I'm sure he wants to move from... Is it Bayer Leverkusen, I think? Someone saying Man United are shit in there. I mean, I'm a United fan, but I mean, the league table does not lie, does it, I suppose? Right, we're going to stick with strikers. We've got some news on Rasmus Hojlund coming in, again, from Italian outlet. So, I don't know. Take it with a pinch of salt if you want. Inter Milan are now accelerating a deal for Rasmus Hojlund as he accepted their proposal. Now, this is weird. I don't know. This is why you never know what to believe with papers and paper talk, because we saw an interview with Rasmus where he's being asked about his future at the club and where he sees himself, and he was talking like, no, I want to stay and fight, I'm happy at United, blah, blah, blah. And then you see a report saying, oh, he's accepted their proposal. So you're like, has he? Has he actually? Now, if we're to discuss this in theory and hypothetics and all that kind of jazz, how much are we taking for Rasmus right now? What price tag are you letting him leave for? Because obviously he was bought, it was quite expensive. So whichever way it goes, it's going to look really bad on PSR. We're probably going to get a 40 mil loss on him. Right? So you want to try recoup at least 30 to 40 million pounds, which is going to be difficult. What Inter are probably going to offer is a loan with an option to buy, which does no favours for us at all. Because, all right, yeah, you have a striker who could be a second striker for us, because obviously we're going to bring in a main number 9. you pay his wages. Then we've got to bring another one in on top of that. Like, no. And also, as well, just whilst we're on the record, why do all Italian clubs, or just clubs in general, when they're coming for our players, try fleecing us with loans? It happens all the time. Whether it was Pereira, whether it was Anthony Martial, Antony at Real Betis, Rashford, Alexis Sanchez, like, that is basically, because of the way the recruitment's been at the club, this is what we've had to do. Because the wages have been so astronomical, you can't sell him. So we have to loan him and then pay the wages. And that's what they're going to end up doing. With Rasmus, it's not too bad because his wages aren't ridiculous. But that's what Inter are probably going to offer. I just think it's interesting to see why they're so determined on getting Rasmus. What do they see that we don't? Because this has been brief for a while. They've had interest in Rasmus Hojlund for a hot minute. Now, we know Inter Milan are an aging team because we saw that in the final. You know, they've got players who, like Acerbi, I think Thuram's around 30, Kalahoglu, they've still got Darmian playing for him. Like, they've got an aged squad. So maybe they want some youthful players to come in. Rasmus looked really good in the Italian League when he was at Atalanta. He's obviously got a good record in Europe for United as well, in the Europa League. So maybe that's something they're looking at and thinking there is a player there that will do well in this league, given the nature of the way he is. That's all well and good, but you've got to pay. You've got to pay. And pay 30, 40 million. Otherwise, I'm not even considering it. If you're coming in saying, oh, we'll take him off your hands, we'll loan him, get to fuck. You know, we need depth in that strike. I know we've got Xerxes, but Xerxes, again, he scored 5 goals, I think, in the league. If that, it might have been 4 or 5 goals. You can't rely on someone like that going into a season. So you need as much offensive power as possible. And if they're just offering loans, then not for me. Not for me. But people might accept that. I don't know. People might just want to see the back of him. Giles Houston, sorry. Chelsea are looking for another striker. That's maybe why the other Victor held out as James from Muppeteers. And maybe take Watkins and offer Garnacho the other way. David maybe going to Napoli. Any idea what Rasmus's book value is? Don't know. Whatever they offer at this point. He's a 30 million value striker, but we need 35 just to avoid a loss on the books. The thing is, right, I can guarantee this. Yes, Brendog, how you doing, bro? I can guarantee this. If Rasmus goes to Inter Milan, it'll start tearing it up again. 100%. Because there is so much evidence of former United players going to the Italian league and doing well. It's always been a thing. Like, you go through the list of players that have gone there. When Chris Smalling first moved to Roma, they was calling him Smaldini, getting player of the year and all this kind of stuff, right? Darmian's making Champions League finals and playing at centre-back for him. And I never rated Darmian. That's well known on this channel. Do not like Darmian as a player. I'm not breaking up. I don't like him as a player. Onana getting to Champions League finals with Inter Milan looked great when he was there. Obviously, that was the opposite direction. Alexis Sanchez went there, did relatively well for Inter Milan. There was just evidence. Whenever a player has gone, they've done decent. So I can imagine if they bought Rasmus, they know they'll probably get a player out of him. Start confidence, not as much pressure. He won't be the only striker there. He'll be able to grow into the role. Yeah. Sell him. Why can't you have the chance? Some people just can't do it in the Prem. I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying I know he'll do well in the Italian league. If you look at McTominay, goes to Napoli, VIP player of the year. You know, most midfielder in Europe to score above 10 or 11 goals or something along the lines of that. Or I can't remember what the specific stat was. Obviously loves it there. They bought him for 25 million. Now you could argue he's a 50 million pound player. This is what Italian clubs do. They're very shrewd in the market. Only asking about Rasmus, Nick, because I take whatever the book value is. Easy sale. We're happy. They're happy. Rasmus is happy. Bryan saying if Hojlund is this close to an exit, we must have someone lined up or very close to being agreed. Carl Emmanuel saying, wait, I'm late to the part, watching with a delay, but why are we mad we're not Gyökeres first to join when he was not even United's first choice? We wanted the lap, remember? Same thing. But that was more out of, that's a club's prerogative, right? So when a club goes in for a player, it doesn't work the other way around for me. Like, I get what you're saying in theory, but if a club are going for that more probably for financial reasons, right? So the lap, I never really understood. They was looking at that as an opportunity, saying £30 million. And Wilcox has seen him before, worked with him before. It was more of a recommendation, it felt like, rather than anything. For me, Gyökeres should have been the first target, I believe, but obviously didn't go down that route, and I don't know why. What's a successful season for Man United next season? Depends on the market. I can only answer that question once we bring in the players. So if we sign, let's say in theory, we sign Cunha, who's obviously already done. We sign Mbuemo. We sign someone the level of a Gyökeres as the number 9, and we bring in a midfielder and maybe a goalkeeper or something like that. Then you have to say top 6. If you're not getting top 6, and I've said this before, if you're not getting top 6 with Gyökeres and Mbuemo, Cunha, Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad, sack the manager instantly. Because what you're adding to your team there is over 100 goals, or close to 100 goals. And Mbuemo, Cunha was 35 between them, Gyökeres 40. So 75 goals you're adding, in theory. I know Cunha and Mbuemo, XG, conversations there. I don't want to dive too much into that. But you have to be finishing top 6 with those players. 100%. Emi Martinez has given the green light. No, he hasn't. It's crazy that you got Kane before he went to Bayern. None of this would have happened. Yeah, Sam always says that. Sam always mentions that on the thing. He says about the Kane situation with Ten Hag. Had they had got him in, who knows what the situation would have been at the minute. Because goals can change games so much. You can have the best defence in the world. You can have the best midfield in the world. If your team isn't scoring goals, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It can change games so much. So, yeah. I believe all the Gyökeres stories are true. The man is desperate for a move to a big club and he isn't getting the attention he thought he would have had by now in his career. Imagine if he ends up staying at Sporting. He might look back at this situation and go, yeah, maybe I went too early on the Arsenal priority thing. Top 7 would be a good season. In comparison, in context, the fact that we just finished 15th, a top 7-6 finish should be achievable, given the players that are bringing in. And you look at the clubs that are above us as well, they're all being picked off. So, like, Brentford, Thomas Frank's gone, and Mbuemo's gone. They'll probably lose Vissar and then have a reset. Bournemouth, Howson has just been bought off him. Don't know what's going to happen with the Arola, but Howson's gone. Semenyo might end up going. We'll speak about in a second. So they might get picked apart a little bit. Palace will have Europe. Oh, maybe, depending on what goes on with the court case thing. So they'll be sidetracked with that slightly. Aston Villa can't spend because of PSR reasons, so they might drop down the table. So there's opportunities to push up, but the recruitment's got to be spot on because we've still got to keep quite a lot of players that we had from last season. So there's no guarantees in this. Eze would be perfect for United, says Harvey. Right, let's talk about that then. So it's coming in from ESPN. Manchester United will turn their attentions to signing Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo or Crystal Palace's Eberechi Eze if they fail to land Brentford's Bryan and Mbuemo. So these are the list that we're looking at, right? So just for example, with the striker, we had maybe it was the Lap, Gyökeres, Ekatike, and then it's fucking Uncle Andy or whatever. I don't know. So this is the B and C plan, one might call it. For me, if they can't agree a fee with Mbuemo, that says to me that it's probably because they want more than 60. I think if you go and buy a player like Eze or Semenyo, I think that's going to cost you the same amount. And you're probably going to have to offer a similar wage, 150k to 200 for that bump up. So it's going to cost the same. So we'll have the same problems. It's all good saying, yeah, well, this is the next option now. This is the next option. You can't say to me Crystal Palace or Bournemouth are going to accept anything less than 60 mil for Eze and Semenyo. I'm not sure on the contract situation. Maybe that'll come into it. But that's something to consider. My question for you lot, who do you prefer? If Mbuemo ends up joining Spurs, according to some people's theory in the chat, who would you then prioritise? Would you go to Eze or would you go to Semenyo? Which one would be more effective? I think Amorim would prefer Semenyo just because of specific qualities like more powerful runners, strength. I know Eze can carry the ball, he's a great dribbler, but Semenyo strikes me as more of an athletic, powerful, off-the-ball work is much better, in my opinion. I think he's got some of the best stats being a defensive kind of winger. You know the intensity that Bournemouth play at as well. Great at winning the ball high up and converting chances. He's done that on numerous occasions. I'm pretty sure he'd done that to us, didn't he? Or in that similar area when they scored against us. I think he maybe would have preferred Semenyo. And I don't mind Semenyo at all, to be honest with you. I don't think there's a huge difference between them play Eze, Semenyo, and then Mbuemo. But obviously the standout thing with Mbuemo is the 20 goals and 7 assists or whatever he got. But, you know, Semenyo got 11 goals, 5 assists. It's not a bad return for him. And I know the game isn't all about stats. I'm not just saying that. But Eze got, let's have a look, 14 goals and 11 assists, which is a good return as well for a Crystal Palace team. And obviously plays the system that Glasner plays at Palace. He plays a back three, doesn't he? So, you know, he's kind of used to that system, which you can see why they're targeting these kind of players. But what are we saying? Who do you prefer? Eze, Semenyo? Talk to me, people. Let's have a look. The cutback goal is Gyökeres' speciality. That's why we do so much byline cutbacks now. Eze would be perfect for United. Sesko's better in the air, more mouldable though, with a deeper tech bag. Jonathan David would be nice. He didn't need to speak on which club. If Arsenal don't move for him, he looks stupid. Eze's got 1.5 years left. Or maybe that makes the deal cheaper then, potentially. I still think Palace will demand quite a bit. We've got Wayne saying average players, to be honest. So he's not a fan of Semenyo or Eze. I don't think they're average. Eze's been fantastic for Palace. Just scored the goal to win him the first trophy in God knows how many years. 40, 50 years, whatever it's been. I think Eze's a super talented player. I think they're both good. But it wouldn't feel... Do you know, if you go from getting potentially Cunha and Mbuemo and Gyökeres, and then that changes to Cunha, Semenyo, and Ekitike, it doesn't have that same premium feel. It might work out better. Nothing's guaranteed in football, is it? But I would personally probably lean more towards Semenyo for me. And the impact would be interesting tactically to see how that would work. And especially when the number 9 comes in, how's that dynamic going to work as well? Very, very interesting times in a minute. I'm just going to double check. Oh, shit. What have I done here? I mean, TikTok's covering me Twitter. I can't fucking see it. Sorry, people. 2 seconds. There we go. That's back up. I'm just going to see if there's any breaking news before I talk about this Club World Cup. Shambolic. Did anyone watch it last night? The Club World Cup, Inter Miami and Al. I really can't remember the team's name. Let me get the team's name up. Right, it was Al Ali. Al Ali, it was. They play again today, huh? Yeah, point apiece, didn't score any goals. It was just a draw. But anyway, I just wanted to quickly discuss it. Obviously, it's a topical thing. It's ongoing at the minute. I think it kicked off about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm a bit of a night owl. I was up anyway, and I thought, do you know what? I'll just give it a whirl, see what he's saying, give it a watch. Watch the first half, and was just like... How shit are Inter Miami, by the way? Like, obviously they've got the names in Busquets and Suarez and Lionel Messi. Suarez as a 9 now just does nothing. Busquets is trying to do things from 2011 that he was doing, which just wasn't there either. The right back was all right, but apart from that, they're a pretty shit team. You know, they kept getting counted on by this pretty powerful athletic team, but then lacked quality in the final third. It was just, I watched it, I was like, how are they giving out £150 million to the winner of this? And by the way, Man City is going to dog walk every team in that competition. Every team. Especially, they've just got Turkey, Rangers, and 8 Nori in. And the reason why they've probably done that is because they're going to win it. So that, what if they win the Club World Cup, that will cover what they've just paid for all them 3 players. Get on that. But I think Rangers was 5th there, Turkey was 25, and 8 Nori was around 40. So that will cover the whole cost, basically, if they win it. And they will win it. If they're starting Rodri, Rangers, Marmoush, Haaland, they are going to smash every team in that competition. Easily. Just judging by the qualities, honestly. Them teams last night, the levels, the intensity, the running, the passing, everything, fucking miles away. You lost to Spurs in the final. You can't call anyone shit for at least 10 years. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. I am says, don't worry, Arsenal got this. I am worried. I don't want Arsenal to get this. That's the whole fucking conversation. That is what I'm worried about. Them doing exactly that. If anyone has any topics or conversations, any topics, opinions you want to throw in, last 5 minutes, let's talk about it. So any questions, anything like that, get them in TikTok and YouTube. Please do smash like on the video, subscribe. We're on 16,769, so we are 231 of 17k. If there is anyone new, hop over to YouTube. The link's in the bio. Appreciate yous. We put up a poll which has had over 100 votes, saying, would you still take Gyökeres at United? And the results are in. 63% said yes, and 37% said no. So the majority, even though he's given Arsenal priority, would still take Gyökeres at United. Now, is that because beggars can't be choosers? We're in a situation where we're desperate for a striker, or is that just simply because you don't care that he said that about Arsenal? It's you're not really deeply emotional into that. 37% of the real Reds. Yeah, well, who knows? Thoughts on any midfield options, Nick? You tell me, James, because at the minute I have not seen any credible journalist with links to midfielders. The midfield role seems like something is going to be done later July, August at the minute. It seems like they've set out their bank to go, we are going to completely change this attack. We're going to get 2 attacking 10s and a striker. That's going to be the base. Then we're going to move on to, okay, we'll look at maybe bringing a cheap wing back in, a midfielder who could do a job, and then a goalkeeper. The only midfielder I've seen is Edison from Atalanta, and he's linked with a move to Saudi now. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Apart from that, there has been no links really with any other midfielders, like concrete, genuine links I'm talking. So it's a little bit worrying, but I'm sure they'll, it seems like Ineos are quite methodical in who they're going for. So I'm sure they'll have a list of players that they looked at, but it's not been made public information, which isn't always the worst thing, because when it comes to transfers in United, it always seems to be pushed out, doesn't it? So I'm not that mad. I just hope they've got players lined up, because you look at a deal, Rangers going to Man City for 50 million. Why are we not looking at deals like that? Because we can't afford it? And maybe we didn't want to go from one broken club to another. From Milan to United. Who, by the way, Milan are being picked off. Like, all their players. I think Theo Hernandez is leaving. Obviously, they've just lost Reinders, who's been probably the best midfielder in the Italian league all season. They're probably going to lose Rafael Leao. It seems like he's pushing his way to move out the door. Like, they're losing all the best players. Milan have fallen off so much. And so have United. We don't need someone who twerks for other clubs. Agree. I stand by what Ruben said regarding what... that want Championship League or glory and exposure rather than wanting to play for United because we're United. As for midfielder, Nick, I haven't seen anything. Harvey saying, will Menu have a bigger role next season? Menu is something that has been kind of, as a fan, or when you do something like this, like we've got YouTube, obviously, and socials, we always go live on and talk about this. It's always in, like, I don't know if this is the right word, but like the regular kind of curriculum. The Menu situation in my head is like a revolving door. I'm constantly like, the thought will come back and go, what are we going to do with Menu? Because to me, it's clear that Amorim doesn't really rate him in the midfield. He doesn't think he's athletic enough to kind of cover space, recovery runs, the dog work off the ball. It doesn't seem that he's got that, and I would probably agree with that. Then when he plays him in the 10s, when he has played there, he's looked okay, but doesn't seem like a like-for-like fit. But then, at the same time, we've also seen players grow into systems, like Scholes, for example, started attacking midfielder, went to an 8, bit more of a sitting player. Maybe we'll see a transformation with Kobe like that in a minute, but it doesn't feel like there is a fit there, does it? For whatever reason, doesn't seem. But hopefully it will, because there is no doubt in my mind. You watch him under Erik ten Hag and the rise that he had. There is a super, super talented player in there. I just don't know what they're going to do with him. And I hope they don't end up selling him. And if they do end up selling him, his value's already dropping by the minute. Because he's not playing as much game time, there's not as much hype, he's not in the England squad, let's say, for the World Cup. So, Cobby's, I think, these are probably thoughts that Cobby's having himself. With international football and stuff as well. He obviously wants to be a part of the World Cup. So maybe he might have to move on to another club to go and do that. But I really like Kobbie Mainoo. I hope he doesn't leave. But I think he'll be here for next season, at least, anyway. And then we'll kind of assess it next summer, I suppose. Big up Dan in the chat saying, once a player says no, we shouldn't be going back to him, begging or giving him a chance. Heritage is important. Spot on, Dan. Yeah, 1,000,000%. I've seen Douglas Luiz linked. Maybe when he was going from Villa, but now, I don't know. I haven't watched him recently. I did rate him when he was at Villa, though, to be fair. Has last season proved that Amorim can only play one way? Depends which way you look at it. I think he is very stubborn in his approach. He won't change his idea and what he wants to do. I think people get a little bit confused with that. So, obviously, when we was going through the period in December, at the time, there was a lot of people saying, why can't he just tweak it? Why can't he just go back to a back four? Play into the player strengths like Garnacho, and all these kind of theories were popping up, right? This was the reason why he didn't want to come in mid-season, because he plays one way, and it is very effective when you have the specific players in there. Now, it's one way in terms of maybe structure, and that can be fluid at times, but also the principles in play change. People focus so much on it's just a 3-4-3, or it's just a 3-4-2-1. Like, principles can change. For example, when we played Bilbao in Spain, Ugarte was advancing a lot more. Ugarte almost played as a 10, and Casemiro would sit a little bit deeper. Maybe that was due to, obviously, them going down to 10 men or whatever, and he was creating overload centrally. Like, the principles can change. You have to have the players for it, though, in this specific system. When he came in, a lot of these players that we've got don't suit it. Rashford doesn't suit it because he's more of a winger. Anthony doesn't suit it because he's more of a winger. Zirkzee is more of a false 9. Go for Mainu doesn't really suit any roles. We just talked about that. I don't think Bruno suits specific roles really. So the whole squad, we don't have any wing backs. They didn't suit that. So it's hard getting a tune out of a team when it's hard. Basically, the best way to describe it is it's hard getting a really solid gold standard song in music when you've got a band in front of you. One's playing the fucking triangle. One's got a guitar with a few missing strings. But if you bring in people who know what they're doing in specific roles with the instruments, then you're going to get a tune out of them. I think Cunha is a perfect example of that. Same thing with Mbuemo. Get players in there who have that intensity first and foremost, who are really hard working off the ball, who play well under pressure, who get goals and get assists on a regular basis. And that might be a start. You know what I'm saying? That might be a start. Why can't we pay out Harry Kane's release clause? It's around 65 mil. Will he want to move from a Champions League Bayern Munich team who just won the league to play for United? I don't think so. We should not go for him. He doesn't want us. Tiger saying walk away from Viktor Gyökeres. He should have kept his mouth shut about his preferred destination if it's true. Imagine choosing Arsenal over United. Muppet. Yeah, well, there you have it. Let's see the developments on this. Let's see what happens. Because this is developing by the moment. So for any kind of updates, you won't see it on TikTok. But bottom right hand corner of the screen on YouTube are all our social media profiles. So for anyone who's followed our Instagram, and they can be testament to this, and they will tell you in the chat, you get almost minute by minute update on anything going on around United, whether it's something to do with Ineos, transfers, matches, results, anything at all on Real Reds Talk. And that Instagram is popping off at the minute, so do drop us a follow on there. X, the same thing as well on Twitter. If you're more of a guy who uses that, who looks for updates on United, everything is on there. And then TikTok, I'm live on at the minute, more kind of clips-based videos, little clips from the show, and the occasional kind of story and stuff. So please do drop us a follow on social media, Real Reds Talk. We're everywhere. Subscribe to the channel, 16,771 subs at the minute. And I will see you guys either later on or tomorrow. I'm working tonight doing Next Gen 6s for Fives Trafford, which is like a new football tournament. So I'm hosting that, and then I'll be back on tomorrow with a couple of the lads. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, people. Enjoy yourselves. Appreciate everyone tuning in to the TikTok. I'll end that live just now. And then I will say goodbye to the people. X-Link, just Real Red Sox. It should say in the bottom right corner, Kazi. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see that, but it's just, I think it's Real Red Sox 99 actually. Let me have a look. Should know my own handle really, innit? But yeah, Real Red Talk 1 on X. Check us out over on there for your little news fixes. And apart from that, people, really enjoyed this. Been loads of yous in the chat. Fantastic conversation. Loads of yous that have voted. Over 1,000 views so far on the show. So yeah, been really enjoyed Sunday Social.